go for maybe 15 minutes or so. And if we can grab someone, that's fantastic. If not, no big deal. If not, I will go back. So, and if we can grab someone, that's fantastic. If not, no big deal. If not, I will go back to doom scrolling for because I've got like a large part of my day free today, and I need to catch up on my Discord DMs badly. Like it's actually kind of crazy. Actually, look, it's just 758 individual unread messages and 18 friend requests that I've not yet even gone through. It's just frustrating. Have you got the manifesto from the guy from yesterday? What guy from yesterday, Bearded? Your name was brought up on the recent Jones saga. Okay, what's your question? Crazy? I was told I missed a lot last night. Anxiously, Aaron, I would disagree, but I suppose that's people's perspective. How did that? Anxiously, Aaron, I would disagree, but I suppose that's people's perspective. How did that start? Started pretty innocuously where someone committed microaggression and then they got upset with the fact that I did not defend where someone committed microaggression and then they got upset with the fact that I did not defend them when the black woman was complaining of the microaggression by pointing it out. And the white presenting person who committed the microaggression got upset that I did not defend them. And then that was fine. And the white presenting person who committed the microaggression got upset that I did not defend them. And then that was fine. Like 4 days, 5 days go by. But then on a live talking about grape culture, that same person basically said something that alluded to the fact that they may have had information pertaining to me that was indicating that I was a sexual predator. And I asked them to explain what was going on, to just like, let people know what specifically they were talking about because it wasn't that. And I saw that there was a misperception happening and they didn't want to clarify. And so I said that I would clarify what specifically they were talking about because it wasn't that. And I saw that there was a misperception happening and they didn't want to clarify. And so I said that I would clarify. They said they didn't want me to clarify on that live, which was weird. I respected that and I went on another live, my own live, in order to clarify for people who wanted to hear on that live, which was weird. I respected that and I went on another live, my own live, in order to clarify for people who wanted to hear the clarification. And Jones came in, quote unquote, defending the person. I still don't know from what, and threatening me in order to prevent me from going live to explain, hey, JW. JW said he would let me know by today, 8 p.m. his time, so 3 p.m. Eastern. Atlantic, maybe, let me take a screenshot. Stop using false allegations to minimize, dismiss women's issues. Stop using false allegations to minimize, dismiss women's issues. Yeah, I like that. That's got something to it. Yeah, crazy, no problem. You can feel free to ask any questions. I'm not looking to create drama or conflict or shit, but if you have any clarifying questions, feel free to ask again. Fix it, but that's the concept. Lynn, why are you afraid of me? What are you afraid of, and what would you want to debate me on? Like, Lynn, what would be the topic you'd want to debate on? And if you want me to agree to not raise my voice, flipping VPN to see if that's better. Hey, Greep, what's going on? Lynn, if you'd like to debate, you're more than welcome to, and I can promise again not to speak loudly, to interrupt, or to use foul language, if that's what you're afraid of. If you'd like to debate, you're more than welcome to, and I can promise again not to speak loudly, to interrupt, or to use foul language, if that's what you're afraid of, Lynn. Otherwise, feel free in the comments to explain what you're afraid of, and I'll see if I can address it. But there may be certain things you're afraid of that I can't really comments to explain what you're afraid of, and I'll see if I can address it. But there may be certain things you're afraid of that I can't really change, unfortunately. Molly, I hope that fixed it. Did it? Let me bring you up. Change, unfortunately. Molly, I hope that fixed it. Did it? Let me bring you up. Did that fix it?
Yo,
Did that fix the issue?
it did fix the issue.
Did that fix it?
It was just my app like completely bugging out.
No, there's something weird going on with me and Mac's lives. It's frustrating, actually.
That's very weird.
Yeah, I don't want to get into conspiracy theory stuff. Like, I think that's kind of wild. But I've heard enough of the people in the comments who said that it seems specific to our lives. Whether or not it is,
Mm.
I don't know. I just know that's what a lot of people keep saying. I'll debate you, but you have to bring three peer-reviewed sources within the last quote. I love the way they said it. Quote unquote, did you get a manifesto from that guy yet? And I was like, who are you talking about?
Well, I tried.
They were, well, don't say what you tried. Don't
No,
reveal that
I'm
little
I'm
secret.
silent. I'm silent. I'm
Okay, good,
silent.
good, good. Yeah, keep working that one. That'll be fun. It'll be a
Yeah.
nice little surprise for people in the comments come Sunday.
Oh my God, can we please like show on?
The comments come Sunday.
Oh my God, can we please like show on Sunday?
Yeah, well, you got to get more material.
I'm trying.
You're so not. You're being so antagonistic. He's not going to open up himself whatsoever.
I'm trying. It's like every single time I get somewhere.
You feel sick in your stomach, I'm assuming.
No, I
Oh, okay.
just have to like hold back my gag.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I mean. Like, look, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. He just looks like someone who has a smell and not like a good
Yeah.
smell. Like, I just feel like, I don't know, there's
It's
just
just
something.
I'm getting whiplash from like the compliments about things and then the insults. And I'm like, can you just maybe make up your mind? Like, this
So,
is a love-hate
what's happening
relationship.
on Sunday is JR, who's that fella from Liverpool, who, to remind
Can't
you
forget him.
all, he's the guy who was a little homophobic. And I called him out on being homophobic, and he went and created three new lives with three different friends, but all three of his friend groups turned on him. And he's the one who said that he wants to create a new account just to debate me. Well, turns out he finally has the account created, and he plans to host a live debate with me on Sunday at 8 p.m. London time, which is 3 p.m. Eastern and noon Pacific time.
I don't
So
know if
that's
it's
what's
you
happening
and
this Sunday.
Kenzie or you, Kenzie, and me. I have no idea.
I don't know until I get the topics. Until he shares the topics today, I'm not really going to be sure what's the best route.
And things. Um,
Yeah, I'm really
no,
struggling with that.
I mean, he tried that with Polly and that didn't really end well for him. So,
Yeah, which like it seems like the people who he's friends with must be somewhat decent people in the sense that they all turn on him real damn quick.
yeah, I would just love to know what he said to this friend. Like, and
About
also,
what the nature of the debate's going to be.
yeah, and like the
Agreed.
background of how this all happened. Like, he's definitely left out some very key details.
I look, I have a lot of like weird people in who are in proximity to me. I got to admit, in 2.5 years, he's a first. I've never like I've had people who want to like intellectually dominate me. I feel like Big Leo is probably an example of that. Hey, Lollipoo. But I've never had someone be so thoroughly embarrassed with his own friends and then spend a month creating an account in order to debate me and so invested in him painting us as intellectual equals and adversaries. It's like, where did you get this narrative from, bro?
Yeah, and then just the way he speaks to guys versus when like spoke to me or spoke to Polly. Like it's just he just speaks about women in a really weird light. And
Well, I mean, you may be picking up more on that than I can. I didn't pick up as much on that. Do you think that he is more infantilizing when talking to women?
I don't know. He's just like maybe potentially. I think he doesn't have enough experience with women to understand. Yeah, that's me like 90% of the time.
No, I had a question after you guys were done
Yeah,
finishing
shoot. What's
telling
up?
me. So I have an interesting scenario, and you maybe being a retired lawyer and all. So I have a
Rumor. Yep.
yeah. I know that's how I usually answer mine. I'm like, I'm retired. But so I have I have a brother, and he picks like the worst women ever to date. His latest one though, she's a real interesting character. She does have some mental health issues, which, we all have our thing. But every time that he tries to break up with her, she goes to the police and she makes false allegations. Like this woman is also still
Jesus.
technically married, and he won't. Even though
Married
she's
to
not
the
with him.
brother.
No, 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 not to my brother, to somebody else for the
Okay.
past 5 years because he's scared to divorce. Because every time when she breaks up with somebody, she accuses them of rape or extortion of money. So my brother has been arrested and released 4 different times money. So my brother one like last week, and he's trying to get out of the situation. And he talked to a lawyer about it, and they were saying um, that he really needs to get out of this. So his latest plan is she went to the DA again. This is in New York, so I really don't know how they don't know who she is. Like, at what point does like the DA or does the system that they're doing realize this person's making allegation after allegation with nothing to back it up with, and then after she convinces the guy to get back together with them, then she's drops the charges?
So they don't. So I'm going to talk more broadly, not specific to you and your
Yeah,
brother, because I don't
yeah,
want to get into a discussion as to the
of
merits
course.
of her claim. So, from a DA standpoint, from a police standpoint, anyone who has lied about grape in the past doesn't mean that they're immune from being graped in the future. And
Of
so,
course.
well, that's why they have to take it seriously every single time. So, when you're saying at what point do they realize this, they may realize it, but it's sort of their duty that they have to accept that this individual instance may actually be valid this time. And that's like a positive thing, I think.
Yeah.
The problem is, unfortunately, and I say unfortunately, but like it's understandable, is that if you are someone who has a history of making verified false allegations in the past, especially if you've made them to the police, actually reported them to the police, then that's going to be used against you if you actually do bring a real grape case against someone because it shows a pattern of behavior. You're ordinarily, for example, not allowed to, if someone has graped someone in the past, for example, you're ordinarily not allowed to point to that grape as any sort of evidence that they graped in the future. And so ordinarily, you're not allowed to use your prior bad acts to suggest that you're likely to commit future bad acts. So, for example, if you rob a store 20 times, if you're accused of robbing a store a 21st time, you're not allowed to let the jury know that because, in theory, those prior arrests shouldn't in any way be considered evidence for this specific case. And so when you have committed prior grapes, you're ordinary when you have committed priorly not allowed to submit those as evidence. However, there is an exception. It comes to deception. When there's prior evidence of deceit, lying, you are always able to submit that as evidence. So, for example, if you've graped 10 women, you're ordinarily not allowed to introduce that as evidence unless it's for pattern of conduct as to a specific way of doing something. But if you are someone who has lied about grape, that will usually be introduced against them, which usually will lead a prosecutor. They will take any allegation seriously, but the moment they know you've made what they believe to have been a false allegation in the past, they're not going to pursue charges because they know that will be brought up and they'll lose.
The most recent that she did was she was trying to say, "Oh, they extorted me for $30,000." So he's like, "Here's my phone. Go look through all my stuff." And they didn't find anything. And so I guess his lawyer had said, your best bet is to, and then she goes to the DA and she's like, no, I made this up and drop it. And of course, the DA is concerned and they want to make sure that somebody's not being coerced into dropping charges if they feel like somebody could potentially be hurt, which I think, again, as you said, that's due diligence. But then his lawyer was saying, well, just the next time that you break up with her, make sure that you file a restraining order right after and take all the messages saying that I'm going to make these claims against you to like the police and then get a restraining order against it. But I don't know. This is, I mean, it's something
I,
out
I
of like a Lifetime movie. And like my brother is funny. He's like, I've definitely messed up and I don't pick them right. But, he's like, I'm in over my head on this one. He's like, I got to get out.
so there's a couple of things I would say. A, you have the option of obviously filing for a protective order or restraining order. B, I would ask her to the extent that they are united again, that the pattern that they've exhibited is scary, and
Yeah.
that you want to make sure that if she's really making amends for what she previously did, that your brother wants her to admit in writing that she has previously lied, so that if she ever does it again, you now have a record of her admitting to previously lying. The other option is that if she doesn't want to play nice, is you can file a civil complaint. And the only purpose of the civil complaint would be, complaints are stories. They're, you take the facts, but you're creating a narrative, right? Now, an unethical lawyer, or it depends on how you define ethics. Personally, as a lawyer, I never created a narrative I didn't believe in. I never had to represent someone who was a bad person, and I would have a very hard time doing that. And so I never had to create fake narratives, right? But the truth is, when you have 100 pieces of evidence, you can create 50 different standards. 50 different narratives. And a complaint is your ability to put forward a narrative. And personally, I would want to file a complaint that includes the facts of what they did, assert the facts of what they did, and put it in there so that should this ever happen again, you now have a record of you filing a complaint that set forth all your legal claims against them, even if you dismiss it. Because even if you dismiss the complaint, you'll always be able to point to that complaint as a public record that you tried to get relief in regard to that specific issue.
Good to know.
Yeah, like when I've had certain guys come and try to like say, when I've had certain guys say certain things about me, I've genuinely thought about just creating that sort of public record. So, because that's going to stay with them forever. Now, it'll stay with you as well. But ordinarily, you're not going to sue someone in court if you are the one who is the aggressor.
Yeah.
Ordinarily.
Yeah. I'm hoping maybe she'll, again, with his answer was just abhorrent. He was like, she's hot. I'm like, oh, great.
Well,
I was like, you're 40 and that's your excuse. I was like, good. Glad
I
you
look, I, I, I empathize with him while also recognizing how pathetic we are. Like, I think it's fair for me to be like, I understand where he's coming from while also saying we should be better than that.
Yes.
But we should be. But we should be. But if she's hot, like, we're willing to do a lot of stupid things. It's not right,
Oh my
but
gosh.
it is. I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know what to say because they're hot. It's a lot. It's a high threshold for a lot of people. And now it's pathetic. It's sad. We should be better. But like this idea of a guy having a one-track mind, I think that's often used as an excuse to excuse bad behavior. But I think I'm allowed to say that he may engage in self-destructive behavior as a result of a one-track mind. I do, I don't like to ever talk about the whole idea of false allegations when they're valid and stuff. But there is a genuine issue from a mental health standpoint
Yeah.
where mental health can lead to some stuff like that. And like I do feel for people who are victims of that because it's scary and it's unpredictable and you can, it seems like you can get sucked back in over and over again, as it seems to be that your brother is.
Yeah, same. That's why I wasn't going after that aspect because it's like I do hope that like they get help with that and that's a whole nother issue. But yeah, I was just curious what the like what happens in that circumstance because like I feel like I get called every day and I'm like I'm not I'm not a therapist or a lawyer or anything like that. So
Well, you said it happened with him more than once,
more than
right?
once. And oh my goodness, that's really funny. Odin's son, yes, she has all the tattoos, yes. So, but
Yeah.
she just, I mean, she's very attractive. I will give him that. I swing both ways, but she is very attractive. But at what point do you have to let the, now that it's starting to like affect his life and he has a son with his ex-wife, he's like, it's not worth going into staying with this. But this has been going on for
Well,
like years, and he just decided that, yeah, like this is a problem. I need to
well,
shut it down.
when it comes to like don't victim blame. For me, victim blaming is exclusive to grape because it has been a problem predominantly with grape that we blame victims.
Yes.
But in terms of blaming other types of victims, I have no problem blaming your brother. Like
Yeah,
your
exactly.
brother, your
Yeah.
brother knows exactly what he's signing up for. He's got full disclosure and he's choosing to follow his dick. I
Yes.
have no empathy for him moving. The first time, understandable. The second time,
The
like
fourth time?
maybe, but anything more than that, like no. If he ends up going to
Four.
jail, that's now his fault. Like that's he chose that, and I'm not going to feel bad for him whatsoever. I feel like again, victim blaming is exclusively for when you're talking about grape victims,
Yeah.
not for when you're talking about men who make really bad decisions that result in them being harmed. Sorry, not sorry. I do think it leads into a problematic discussion, which obviously I'm an idiot and I'm going to engage in, which is I've talked about the fact that the women who I've met on TikTok are vastly different than women who I've met in real life, and
How
as well
so?
as how so?
Mm-hmm.
So, one of the things that I have noticed a lot more on TikTok is I've encountered a lot more people with mental health issues. And in my real life, I don't really encounter that all that much. Like hardly at all. And I'm talking about with people who I meet, but also in terms of who I'm going on dates with and certainly people who I date.
Mm.
And when I say mental health issues, I'm talking about actual mental health conditions, such as, bipolar, and but then also mental health issues that are more generally like high anxiety, or I have to admit that like, it has some of the encounters I've had online have been genuinely scary. Like I've never men who talk about women being scary, I never understood what they were talking about. I had no idea what they were talking about when they talk about quote unquote crazy women or when they talk about quote unquote women who engage in like crazy actions. I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And I have to admit, since been on TikTok, I have certainly seen more of this type of behavior that men have talked a lot about. And I don't know if that's by virtue of like where I lived most of my life, but that doesn't make much sense to me that you would have less people who have issues like that in a certain location. It could be by virtue of the jobs I've had. I don't know why. I've never really encountered it much, but I've encountered it a lot on TikTok. And it's like, I don't know. When I hear now men saying that they'd be afraid to date, I at least understand where they're coming from. Not that I necessarily think that it's
Yeah, my brother
valid.
doesn't want to like date anybody now, but I do agree with what with Joe. He was saying, you do encounter it, it's just not disclosed as often. I do think that masking, like for some people, is easier out in public, like when we meet them.
Mm.
But I do think it's multifactorial, just like you said, like depending on where you work and places that you hang out, maybe you're not as much, you're not as likely to encounter them. Because I agree, TikTok augments a lot of these issues. Um,
Yeah,
Irish.
but when you say masking, like I also feel like now I'm able to spot it straight away. Sorry, go ahead, Molly.
I was going to say, what kind of, I mean, I don't know like the whole legal system too well in the US, but
Hmm.
in the UK we have like a barrister. I mean, I don't know like the whole, or like a solicitor.
Yeah.
What kind of like lawyer were you? Were you like one of those?
So I don't ever talk about that. I don't ever disclose personal information because people are always trying to figure out who I am.
Yeah, fair enough.
They're
So
obsessed with it.
unfortunately, yeah. So unfortunately, my general stance is to never admit or deny that I'm anybody. So whenever I get identified as someone, I just kind of let it fly. Whenever it is somebody thinks they learned something about me, I just kind of let it fly. My approach to being able to stay anonymous is by just not confirming or denying shit. I've always said there's only certain things I'm ever going to be really honest about as it pertains to my personal identity, and one of those was the fact that I was born in the 1980s because I thought that age matters. I think that people have a right to kind of know who they're talking about from a generational standpoint.
I think
Hey,
it matters
Wawa.
in the point of if they're a minor or if they're like adult, like over the age of
No,
18.
I think that if someone is in their 20s and they are misled into thinking they're talking to someone in their 20s, that's problematic, I think. It
Yeah.
matters in the sense that I just feel like you should. Um, I think people have sort of a right to know where you're coming from an experience standpoint and a generational standpoint,
We were
not
born in the
for any
best
other reasons.
decade. Yay, 80s.
I mean, I agree with, I
Molly,
hard
that's
agree
nothing
with that.
against you. I'm sure that you're delightful whatever decade you were born into.
I do,
Not the
yeah,
80s,
I
I'm afraid.
I'm just a
predisposed
little
for sure.
biased. I'm just a little
Yeah, so
biased. I'll admit.
the only thing I ever have said I'm like 100% honest about. I've always said I will lie fully on anything pertaining to my identity, but I did say that I would be honest about a couple of things. And one was being born in the 80s, one was being born in Ireland, and the other one was living in New York. And everything else I've said you're not allowed to trust a single thing.
I mean, I think the New York thing was a giveaway from your username.
Yeah, but I also had a lot of fake stuff to mislead people. So like just because it's my username doesn't mean it was actually true.
That's
Your
Do
true.
you
I
know what I
mean,
mean?
your accent's real though, right? Like the Irish accent?
Well, no, in many ways. So if
No, I
anything,
love your
my
accent. Ugh.
wait, Irish,
yeah,
can you
but
do like different accents though?
No, the way
yeah,
that he
so
says
that's what I
like
was going to
three.
say was that I have gotten rid of my accent. So the interesting thing is that over in America, when you have an Irish accent, it's a huge benefit if you want to have sex, right? Absolutely huge benefit if you want to have sex, right?
Such a man
But
thing, but yeah,
no, but it
Yeah,
is. It's huge.
literally.
Like
it's
it's
true.
like St. Patty's Day is insane.
You do have a
Like
good voice, to be fair.
absolutely beating women away, right? But when it comes to the professional world, an Irish accent is a big negative. And so in my mid 20s, I started realizing that having an Irish accent was detrimental to my career. And so when you say, do I have a fake accent? I would say that I have a fake Americanized accent
Okay.
because I had to create this accent or the way I talk today in order to be more respected in the workplace. And when I'm with my friends and family, I sound a lot more Irish, like demonstrably more Irish.
Can you do like a British accent?
Not a fucking chance. I'm horrible with it. The
Wait,
only
try do
accents I can
mine.
do are all the ones that like I'm not allowed to do because like things have changed. So I don't do any accents whatsoever now.
I feel like mine's easy
I
though.
In the
I mean the
90s, you could
British.
do accents some more, but yeah,
Did you
today
just
it's
go
not.
British?
Yeah, I mean it's a weak accent. It's not a particularly good accent to be fair.
What?
Yeah, in the 1990s we didn't really think about
No, we
whether
didn't.
it was appropriate to do certain accents. So like we
We
all
just
grew
did
up
it.
learning certain. Yeah, we just did it. Like and now it's like just totally not appropriate. So like I just it's not that big a loss. I don't
Except for
want
the,
it for God's
like, but
sakes.
I mean,
Too much hate.
it actually worked out to my benefit though, because all of my accents are awful and they all sound the same. So I'm happy that
I
we
don't
only
know. I
have
had
the
some pretty
everywhere.
decent accents. I'm a little disappointed.
I'm actually so upset you won't do them now.
Well, do which ones?
Um, do mine, do JR's, and
Just be an
then
opposite safe.
I
do an
mean,
Aussie one.
I can do like I don't know why I can only ever do a British accent when I'm like debating a dude. I could do like my Sean Connery a
Oh
little bit,
God.
but like I don't have accents. It's not
How
really
about like
within my
Christopher
repertoire.
Walken? That's like one that all the guys like to do.
You have no
Yeah.
chance. I
I
don't
don't
know
know.
really, as much as I said that I've learned an Americanized accent, like I don't know if mine's Americanized as much as it's just like neutered. Because like I can't think how to do an American accent if it's not a Southern bumpkin. For
Yours
some
is
reason, I
a
really know how to
little
do a Southern
American.
bumpkin. Say it again, Molly.
It's a little American, but it's also very Irish at the same time. Like when you say things like to or mother, like that's when you can really like hear it. But on a lot of your other words, it's like it's a little American, but it's also not at the same time. It's like half and half.
Yeah, I mean, it's just when people say it's American, it's like, okay, America's huge. So when people say I
General.
sound American, I always ask, exactly. I always ask, what state? And most people don't have a state, which to me suggests that I have a much more neutral accent than an actual American accent. Because there is no American accent. There's a Boston accent, there's a New York accent, there's an LA accent,
Your
there's a
regional.
Memphis accent. Yeah, exactly.
Yours.
And I don't think I have a particularly distinct regional accent.
Like my
I just
grandparents are
picked a
from
state.
Greece, so like my grandfather would say, because he lived in the States for a long time before he had passed, and he would speak more Americanized, sort of like how you're saying. But then when he was around, peers and people in the Greek community, it would come out just like you're saying. If you're around your family, it comes out like it was like he didn't miss a beat. So it was that way. And then one of my best friends, he's like my 73-year-old BFF, but he's
Oh,
from, yeah, oh my gosh, we have coffee and tea. It's delightful. But, anyways, but he has a very thick Southern accent, and he used to work for Delta down in Atlanta. And he said it was like the late 80s, early 90s, and he heard his voice on his answering machine. And he told his secretary, "Oh my gosh, I sound like a hillbilly. You got to do my recording for me. They're going to think, because I talk slow, that I am slow." And I'm like, nobody thinks that. And he's like, "No, they do." So,
Because
I don't
part of
know.
it for me is that you lose, from a corporate standpoint, people just think of Irish people as being heavy drinkers. That's not a good reputation in a corporate setting. But then the other reason why I had to adjust it is that I don't mind people bringing attention to it and stuff, but it becomes just distracting.
yeah,
And so
stereotype.
that's why I think a lot of people in America who are foreigners, we try to, once you're there for a very long time, you try to actually sort of like mute or neuter your accent because it just kind of becomes exhausting having to explain it to everyone, having to explain the words you're saying. It just gets tiring. And
My
people,
daughter
immigrants don't really talk about that.
My
I just
daughter
think
has like bright red hair. Like, so when she was like a baby, she's older now, and I'd go in the store if I was really busy and needed to get in and out, and she's, very pale. She's just a full but I mean, like, she's only a little Greek because my ex-husband's not. And they'd be like, "Oh, is she 100% Irish?" I'd be like, "Yeah, sure." And I would just leave. I didn't want to talk.
I just don't know how you can adjust a British accent to American because it's like so different. The way we pronounce different, like the A, and like for example, like us we would do like bath, but like I know it's very different for, I mean, even people still in the UK, but I'm really intrigued to know how you kind of get like half British, half American.
I like your
I
accent, Molly.
Thank you. It's well, it's rather posh, but I take it, you know.
she has the type of accent that you ordinarily hear in rom-coms.
You know.
She has the type of, whereas Ali seems to be from Liverpool, and when you hear those accents,
You don't
it's a
think rom
little bit
com.
less. Yeah, you don't think rom-com. You think, I mean, you may think of a woman pegging you, but you don't think rom-com. Like it's a very
Oh my gosh, I
English
feel like attacked for
English women
Allie.
just no
Allie seems
outside
delightful.
outside
Oh
of
my
like
god.
London
I love
area.
you, Allie.
The accents are assertive, is what I would say. Same thing in Ireland. Like Irish accents, well, female women who have you know, non-posh accents are very assertive, is all I would say. Very commanding.
Yeah, I think mine is a bit more
That's what
less.
JW was saying to you when he was
Irish hit
saying,
it spot on. It's
JW
like
or
a rom
JR?
com. Totally rom com. That's all I'm hearing now. You like spot
Rom
on.
com.
yeah, and she's one of the rarest accents. There's not many people who actually speak like that in England. She's definitely the
Yeah,
minority.
I honestly I don't even people that like live around me, um I don't really meet people that have a really similar accent. It's because I'm kind of like in the London Surrey kind of area, and Surrey is known for being quite posh. So I think that's where it comes from. But people pick up on it a lot, like especially when like I'm at university and let's say someone was just like from general like North London or from further up, they would like immediately be like, you're posh, like you went to a private school, you know, grew up going raw. Like, do you know what I mean? It's very detectable, I feel like, even though it's not very strong.
You have the accent that like when I was in middle and high school that I totally wish that I had, and then I tried it. But I mean that was also during like when like Madonna decided that she was going to have an accent randomly as an
That was
American.
a weird
That was
period
so
of
Yeah,
weird.
time.
That
that was
was so weird.
interesting.
That was so weird.
Yeah, there is who is that woman who I just absolutely heartbroke for her. Do you guys remember the TV show The Circle? I think
It
it was
sounds
on
familiar, but I
Netflix.
can't place it.
Was that the one where they like
They're all
had little
housed.
challenges
Go
to
ahead.
do in this one house?
Yeah,
And
so they're
they
all in one house, but they're all housed in different rooms, and they communicate with one another through social media on a big television. Okay, so Kel, what was the name of the British woman from season one? I think of the American version. Her first name began, I want to say, began with a C. Not Cheryl. God
um
damn it, what was her name?
Catherine? If she's British,
No,
it's
not Catherine.
mm,
No, it was Chloe. Oh my
um,
god. So where's Chloe from? Because her accent got me weak. That accent was real damn cute. And that's not a posh British accent, but there was something just like I think she was Liverpool, wasn't she?
was she? Are you sure?
But she was very, I don't know what it was. Hers was like neutered a little bit and it was just perfect. Miley, can you check where Chloe's from? Cause like it really was. Cause like growing up, like I would, a lot of my. Oh jeez, I'm not gonna go there.
Yeah, be careful what you say.
Oh, she was from Essex. You're right. She was from
Oh,
Essex.
Essex, really?
Don't judge me. How dare you?
I'm seriously judging
There was a
Essex.
little bit of
Are you
judgment there.
kidding?
Chloe was so sweet, though. I absolutely love Chloe.
Irish, I'm so disappointed in you.
I'm not proud of myself.
This is
I'm not
Essex we're
proud of
talking
myself.
about.
My choices and who I find romantically attractive and or nice sounding, I don't choose these things,
No,
but I also
absolutely
feel
not.
embarrassed by them. I agree.
Yeah, I'm not going to
You
admit
should
to
be.
my accent, so it gets in trouble every time.
No,
Wait,
Irish, I can't. I genuinely can't. This is like Essex, like the chavs of the chavs with like the big blocky eyebrows and the like insane fake tans and going around and just like, honestly, I think
see,
it's one of my least favorite accents. I can't.
You just broke Molly's
so
heart.
women from
I'm
Essex,
broken.
yeah, women from Essex. There's
No, I'm not having
in
this.
in Ireland and England,
No, I'm not Irish.
there
No.
is well, the women I don't think outside of the UK and Ireland would know. Do you guys know what the word slapper refers to? Lollypoo, have you
Someone
ever
who's
heard that?
like ugly,
No.
Like
right?
it's someone
Oh,
who, Molly?
were you talking to Lolly or me?
Well, you were about to answer, but Lollipoo, do you know what the
No.
word slapper apply? No.
No.
So, oh, Maggie just joined. So the term slapper often applies to when you're talking about the fact that this sounds so toxic that women in the UK and Ireland slap on makeup. That there's a tremendous that it's almost like layers and layers of makeup, like
By
genuinely layers
UK,
and layers of
they
makeup.
mean
The
Essex.
caked on look.
They mean
Well, Essex
Essex.
is the high point of the. Now, I don't want to say overuse of makeup because it's a skill. Like it's such a genuine skill
Yeah, it's an art.
that yeah, like when they say slap, it means that it's put on so thick that you genuinely don't know who you're waking up with the next morning because like it could be a totally different person. And that's the skill part of it, right? And so I'm not like a huge fan of that, especially because I'm not joking. I know it sounds like I'm joking, but if you've ever physically been with a woman from Essex, like she leaves a mark on you in the sense that she leaves a stain of her face on your pillowcase. Like I mean, literally she will leave parts of her body on your bedding because so much of it will get wiped off.
So you
Yeah,
feel
So
like
and you
they,
you're
find
being
that
catfished.
attractive.
I think it's attractive for like casual schmecks, but in terms of dating someone where you have to change your sheets every single night, it's not sustainable.
Exactly.
It's not environmentally friendly to date a woman from Essex.
Exactly. So
Oh
my
my God.
accent, people from Surrey and London, it's better than Essex because you're not going to have that issue.
Oh, I didn't disagree with that. Oh no, no, no. If it's in terms of like marrying someone or being with someone long term, I would absolutely pick a Surrey accent.
Thank
I'm
you.
talking about what are the accents that are attractive, generally
No, they're
speaking.
not.
Well, I don't know. You can have
Molly's
a
No,
canceling
weakness.
you. Molly's canceling you.
You're
You can
literally
have.
officially cancelled now. Absolutely
Is
not.
there any men in the comments who knows about Essex women? Hang
I'm
on. Let
telling
me.
JR.
Hang on. Hang on. I'm gonna just let me
No,
just grab Chloe, and then the
nah.
men can judge whether or not she has an appealing accent
Can we
because
do a poll
the
about whether
Chloe
my accent's
slander.
better or Chloe is?
I'm just saying the Chloe slander. It's a lot right now,
Yeah, as it
and
should
I don't
be.
know if it's justified.
As it
Let
should
me see
be.
if I can grab it.
Very justified.
Chloe is like the difference. Like Essex girls, you just know they want to have a really good night out. They're just fun. They're just fun loving. Like you know they're gonna want to go to the bar. You know you're gonna want to drink all night and dance all night.
But it's
All
not
right,
fun because they're going to
Chloe.
be talking more.
I like talkers. I
Yeah,
only talk
talkers,
because
but
I'm
that have a
nervous.
nice accent, you know? I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Ward. I'm sure your accent is amazing. I just absolutely not the one that I was just talking about.
All right. So hang on. Let me grab this so that there's no mistakes here because my
Prepare
girl
for Irish
Chloe.
to embarrass himself.
I just can't believe my girl Chloe's being dragged this badly. Hold on. So here is Chloe from Essex. Give me a moment to get this set up.
My accent is so much better than hers. I'm not having this.
I mean, better for you have to be a little bit more specific.
Okay.
If you're saying, do I find one more attractive than the other? Yes, I prefer Surrey if I'm dating a person long term. But Chloe is just a perfect. She's the epitome of a fun Essex woman. So hold on, let me grab her up.
Yeah, but as long as my accent, like, that's more attractive long term. Oh, thank you, Ali. Thank you.
All right, here we go. You guys can tell me if you agree or disagree. Ready? Here we go.
Already disagree.
21 and I'm from Essex in England.
No.
I am so excited.
Chocolate's better than sex. And there'll be none of that.
I don't think I would pull any guys in this outfit in the club.
Oh, Chloe's a flirt. Chloe's a big flirt.
Like, I kind of want to call you Bambi.
But does Bambi die?
I think her mom dies.
Yeah.
I wonder how many bubbles are actually in this bar. Mitchell has invited you to a private chat. Oh, I want him to flirt with me. Message. Hey Mitch, how's your day been? Gotten any bigger since the last time we spoke? You salt. Laughing face emoji, drooling face emoji, send message.
now that's pretty flirty.
Super Bowl. Is that like an American thing where loads of people get together and like play bowling or something?
Is he American? Maybe Trevor's got a little bit of competition. Hey?
We can't trust anyone anymore. It's created a lot of animosity in the air. Animosity! That was a new word added to the dictionary of Chloe.
Oh my god.
Alicia, the cool
can't
teacher.
do it.
Hey, Leo, I'd like to meet ya. Holy shit.
Okay, she got some rap elements.
Go, don't rate me low, cause I don't wanna go.
Like an onion, I got layers.
I could be one of your favorite players.
To me, this is more like a rap, which I kind of like.
Gorgeous beauty with the brains. I can tell you're no plain Jane.
Oh my god.
All right. We're judging on the accent, people. Try to focus. My God. Everyone
I'm
judging
so
the dancing.
focused and yet so disgusted at the same time.
Thoughts on the accent only, people. Do people approve of the accent or no?
Can we do a poll between my accent and hers?
Yes, we can do a poll, but then we're going to do a first poll. Thank you, Allie. Validation. Appreciate that. We're going to do a first poll. Does she have a nice accent? Does Chloe have a nice accent? Smiley face for yes, crying emoji for no. Does Chloe have a nice accent? Smiley face for yes, crying emoji for no. Oh, come on. Bex.
As it should be.
Oh my God. We got some Brits in here who I can see are voting against it.
Guys, everyone has
Atlantic.
a sad face.
All right. Well, you're still being trounced.
Well, Irish, thank you for letting me up.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah,
The slander here is ridiculous.
I need a second poll right now.
That's what she said. Go ahead, Ward. What were you going to say?
as a guy who lives in Essex, there's a massive difference between an Essex girl and a girl living in Essex. But accent-wise, Molly wins. Hands fucking down.
Thank you.
W.
Well, the poll has to make that determination, so let's do that right now and see what
Yeah.
they say. So it looks like people do
that-
agree. Chloe has an attractive accent in general. Thank you,
No.
everyone who voted.
Shocking
Now,
take.
next question is who has a more attractive accent? Chloe, smiley face. Molly, crying emoji.
Why did you
Chloe
put me as the
smiling.
crying emoji?
I knew she would pick up on that. Chloe, smiley face. Molly, crying emoji.
Piss off.
Chloe, smiley face. Molly, crying emoji.
I'm voting for myself. If I don't win,
Carlotta sold you out. I'm going to point out all the people who sold you out. Penstock sold you out.
shame on you.
Who
Shame
else
on
sold you
all.
out?
Oh, look at that, Irish. Can you see the numbers there? Irish. Can you see the numbers there?
Charlotta sold
looking?
you out.
Are you
I'm
looking? Are you
looking.
looking at this?
I see a 1. I see Tree versus 1.
Molly has this in the bag.
Yeah, absolutely. Carlotta, I'm
Carlotta.
honestly so disappointed.
It's like a little bit of a
Carlotta
betrayal.
and Sarlotta. Posh accents remind me of
Excuse me.
Tories.
I am not a Tory. I voted
Great
Labour.
point,
Thank you very
Sarah.
much.
Yeah, Sarlotta, I kind of agree in that sense. I think that's why I like Chloe's accent, is that from an economic standpoint, I
Excuse
usually
me.
think I'm going to... See? A woman from Essex would never say, excuse me. I'm just saying. Tell me I'm wrong, Ward.
Do you know what? They would. Like I said to you before, Irish, there is a difference between an Essex girl and a girl from Essex. There's a standing joke, Molly, you'll know this joke, is what's an Essex girl's favourite wine?
All of it. All of them.
I want to go Lakeside, which is the big shopping centre in Essex, right? But the thing is, right, it's a joke, but it's based on like massive generalisations. The thing is, though, that there are plenty of people who live in Essex who might not live nearer to London. They might live in the north of Essex, and they typically are the people who live in Essex. There's a massive difference. And like I said, Molly, I've seen you on Irish's Lives a few times. And yeah, absolutely, your accent hands down trumps the Essex accent. And the Essex accent,
you.
for me, I live here and it's grating.
Irish, we just need to take a moment here just to realise that I won 17-3, and those 3 votes are irrelevant. So we just need to.
Hang on, I validate that the London Surrey accent is a more attractive accent overall,
Thank
but I
you.
don't think the Chloe Essex accent is unattractive. I think that it does depend. I don't know. It sort of depends. Like a Scouser accent on a woman can be attractive in some situations. In other situations, it can feel like you're about to be domed and pegged. So, like,
There is
it
no
really
situation.
depends.
Well, what if somebody's into that? Maybe they're into that. There's no judgment
No,
here.
go for it. Go for it. It's just more so like the accents for women in Ireland. Like, let me pull one up. Hang on.
I just can't. I just
Irish
can't. I have said
woman Southie.
Molly,
those
you
3
won by a
people.
landslide, in my opinion. Don't worry.
Thank you.
For what
Those
it's
3
worth.
people, they're going to drink tea, and I'm not giving them Yorkshire Gold. I'm giving them Tetley because you're getting the worst brand of tea that I can possibly give you. So you drink your Tetley tea and then come back to me once you've realised that my accent's superior. Thank you very much.
All right, so this is what I'm talking about Irish women in terms of it being just a little bit more rough. That's all. Let me play what women in Ireland ordinarily sound like when it's not the rom-com. Okay, I just hit play.
English? Yeah. Right. What about the HSE
Your peace of mind doesn't come at a clear price. The system's determined by the rolling of the dice. Chancing your arm and leg on being eligible. Swallowing the welfare's demands like they were edible. What drives to drink and drugs but this romance? We're in love and engrossed with our foes. We've got no chance. Befriending the CWO, mind hell bent. They couldn't offer their courtesy if it was heaven sent. The old officers give them a turn of my shoes. They live the life of luxury with from nothing to choose. Choice eliminated, judgment impaired. From the gift of lack of self-trust as witness I've bared. Rely on daddy's safe for pocket money, legitimate sauce, dodging red tape and jumping.
So that's one example. Let me give you another example of
Yeah, that's a
how
lot different than the movies.
Yeah, you're telling me. And then here is first video.
Well,
No.
Brave was such a good movie, though. That was a good movie.
Wasn't she
Which one?
Scottish, though?
I think she was Scottish.
She wasn't
Yeah,
Irish.
Yeah,
She was
brave
Scottish.
Scottish.
Let me put in North Dublin, see what pops up.
So, Irish, do you like women with Irish accents, or is that not
I've
your...
never dated or had sex with an Irish woman. It's all
That
I'll
probably
say
says a
as an
lot then.
answer to
Yeah.
that question. Like I'll even say this, like even Saoirse Ronan or
Help me out with
Saoirse.
something though, because there's so many Irish names that are almost
I
impossible
don't even like
for people who aren't.
arguably. I can't remember her name. Saoirse, whatever her last name is. Arguably, she's got a more palatable Irish accent, and even her accent I can't fucking stand. Let me play.
Ireland to pronounce. Help me out. These are real Irish names. Tell me how I'm supposed to say.
That one's Saoirse.
That's Saoirse.
Does anyone know how to pronounce that in the audience?
Tig.
How?
Tig.
Tig?
Yeah. Neve.
What?
Neve.
Nave?
Yeah. But
I
it's
like that
Neve.
Aoife.
Maybe this is the best
AOC.
way to get your accent
Neve?
kind of up and running.
How about this one?
Oshin.
Ocean.
Oshin.
Ocean.
Oshin.
Ocean.
Yeah. How
Siobhan.
do you think that's pronounced?
This one I know. Siobhan.
Yeah, Siobhan.
Siobhan.
I think she's
Ridiculous.
A lot of
cute,
people
yeah.
say Siobhan.
Ridiculous. Now, this is the
Ridiculous.
one that
They're all
absolutely
ridiculous.
breaks my brain.
I would date her.
Cleaver.
There's a lot of vowels in that name. Quiva.
One more time.
Cleaver.
Quiva.
You go to hell. Help me out with
So-
something though, because there's so many.
But like
Irish
I don't
names
even
that
think
almost-
her accent. Oh, here's another woman talking.
I think that she's cute, though. I think that her accent fits her.
Oh,
She's cute, but
Yeah.
question I asked people on the streets of Dublin today. It's hard to say, no.
Pretty loud backwards.
She couldn't. The older they're getting, the more constant they're getting.
Like, same as anybody else.
A very awkward question. What do I think of them?
Yeah. Generalization.
Generalization.
Too much background noise. I'm not going to put you through that. But
So Irish, what do you think of like the very ethnic Greek woman accent? That has a very harsh tone to it.
I don't know it, to be honest with you. So,
Really?
like, I can only think of My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Give me a better example.
Oh, I love that show.
I don't. That was my life.
I love it.
And then I ended up divorced, and not because of domestic violence. It was because he wasn't Greek that it failed, according to my family. Yeah, a little bit gaslit there. No. It's very like they speak with purpose, and almost if you have a very thick accent, it almost sounds like they're not speaking English. Like I have relatives still to this day. I have to try to like train my brain to think: are we speaking in Greek or English? Because their English still sounds Greek to me. But I'm trying to think of another good example. Here, let me pull them out.
Also, I think part of the reason why I've not been with women in Ireland is I've talked about how I don't like how people in Ireland engage in schmecks. It's really weird to me. And I don't subscribe to it.
I have
Like, it's just,
British accent. Do you want to hear it?
oh my God, this is going to be horrific. But
I'm scared.
if you're going to be horrific towards British people, that's the only group you're allowed to be horrific towards, so go for it.
I'm scared.
Yeah.
It's going to be horrible, but go ahead, Atlantic.
Oh no.
Can I have a bottle of water?
Oh no.
That was
No.
both worse and not worse. Like it
Is that
was
not how you say it? Can I have a bottle of water?
But yeah, there's some people that are like, they're like, they call themselves roadmen on the streets of London, and they go like wagwan, and they go like bottle of water, and they go British in it.
The TikTok turned me off. This is how you speak English as a Greek
This
person.
is Greek?
Yes,
What?
you have to speak English as a Greek lady. Let's have some popovers and let's go have some breakfast. No, did you see what she was wearing down in village? Oh, what is she doing?
So that's not as guttural as Irish accents are.
Yeah, it's
Or
just very
ethic.
like demanding. Like it's very. I feel like when my relatives speak to me, even if they're saying, "Oh, you look beautiful today," it sounds like they're saying it very judgmentally. Like,
This is how I feel every fucking time I call a relative home in Ireland. Is you just constantly feel like you're being talked shit to. Like, it's
yes,
crazy.
exactly. And like, I mean, they could be saying the nicest thing, but at the same, well, usually they're not. Usually they're criticizing you, and also it's very acceptable in Greek culture, like to be told that you're getting old or to be told that you're getting fat. And as you know, somebody that was born in the 80s, and like you know, we grew up in America when they had skinny culture, was they told you that size 4 was a
Yeah.
plus size model and all of that. You would gain 5 pounds, you would go to your papu, oh, you look like you're putting on some weight there, and then they'd poke at it, and then they'd poke at it, and then if you don't eat, then they criticize you for not eating. It's just a lot of you have to have like tough skin because they'll tell you how they feel about everything.
Yeah, and for the people who asked about how people in Ireland have schmacks, I've told a story about the fact that I went on a date. Wait, which one was that now?
Which one was that?
Well, because I went on a couple of dates with Irish women, and I was like,
You,
nah, not doing that shit again. One of
and
them
then you picked
was
Essex.
no. One of them was that I was doing a dance class where it was 2 hours per class, and you were meant to rotate, and the women were meant to choose someone new every hour. So the woman chooses who they dance with for the first hour, and then they're meant to switch. And I met someone there who was just absolutely my type, and she decided to dance with me. Big mistake on her part. And then after an hour, she wanted to keep dancing with me. And I was like, oh, all right, but she must be shy and doesn't want to talk to anyone else. Then I came back the next week and she did the exact same thing. And then the third week, I was kind of like, all right, she really must enjoy my company since she's not changing up partners. but wasn't really thinking all that much about it. But at the end of that third week, they all said that they were going to go out for drinks. So I said, I was like, all right, here's my chance to go up to her and see if she's going to go for drinks. So I went up to her and I said, are you going to go for drinks? If so, I'll walk you on over. And she acted like she barely knew me. She was like, what? No. What? No. And acted like it was an affront for me to suggest that we go over for drinks, even though they had announced that they're going to do a drinks thing at the pub nearby. So I end up then going over because I had a couple of guy friends who were there. And when you go to Irish pubs, it's very gender segregated. Don't know if it's as much like that in England, but the fellas tend to be with fellas, women tend
It's
to be with
not.
women. It's kind of fucking weird. I'm not gonna lie. And so when I went to this pub, I was talking to some fellas, and all of a sudden, like about I don't know, 20 minutes in, she comes into the pub. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on now? Like, I thought she said she didn't want to go to the pub. So she comes into the pub, goes to the other end of the pub, and is talking to her friends, mostly women. And I'm with a few lads at the other end of the pub. And then I don't want to bother her because I was like, okay, I asked her over. She said no, take the hint. So I was like, I'm not going to bother her at all. So I just ignored her for most of the night. But it couldn't help notice that she was looking over repeatedly. And then when they did last rounds and they give a little bit of a ring on the bell to let people know, she and her group navigate over to me and my group. And I'm like, all right, this is weird because it seemed to have been like led by her. But again, I'm thinking she kind of like drew up her boundary. Like I asked her, does she want to come over? She said no, so I'm not going to bother her. And then as we're getting down to like the last sup before we're getting kicked out, she turns to me and says, were you not even going to say hello to me? And I was thinking in the back of my head, like, I'm not punishing you. I was just trying to give you space. So then I started talking to her and we end up chatting a bit. And it was very clear to me that she needed liquid courage in order to talk to me in any sort of romantic way. And it's a very common thing in Ireland for liquid courage to be part of the dating scene. And I don't really like that all that much. So when we went to then leave, she tried to go home with me. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not going home with you. Like, no.
You're
Because in
thinking
my
like this is
head,
a trap.
no, not trap. In my head, I'm thinking, well, you didn't like me 4 hours ago, but now that you're drunk, you want to get with me? Like, clearly you're drunk. Because, like, if you liked me, you would have said it 4 hours ago. So I ended up saying no, that I didn't want to go back to her. And I hear the next day, because even though we didn't have class the next day, a lot of us, Ireland's small, let's just say that. I was told that apparently she was confused why I didn't want to go home with her. She was like, I thought that she thought that I liked her. And I was like, I do like her. What are you talking about? And she's like, that's what you do. You just go home with her. And I was like, she was drunk. Why am I going home with a drunk girl? So that was like encounter number one. Encounter number two, which I've told on this live a bunch, which was where I had gotten to know someone. And I don't remember how we finally worked up to going to a pub to have drinks, but we end up meeting up. And we end up having a couple of drinks, really not much at all. And I end up walking her home because she lives a fair bit away from the pub. And as I'm walking her home, I don't like to walk people up to their door because I can feel a little bit intimidated. So when I knew we were on the end of her block, I was going to stop right there and say goodnight and let her sort of walk across the street by herself, where, I'd see her going in, but wouldn't necessarily make her feel intimidated by being at the door. So I go to say goodbye at the corner of the street. And as I go in to lean in order to kiss her, she turns around and sprints like Forrest fucking Gump back to
Oh
her
gosh.
apartment. And I'm scratching my head, what the fuck just happened? And then when she goes into her apartment, she looks back at me as if like wondering where I was. And then she goes into her apartment and I'm just standing there stunned the entire time. But then I turn around and I start walking home. And then she messaged me and says, what you doing? And I was like, huh? Says, what you doing? And I was like, huh? I was like, she was like, are you coming or what are you doing? I was like, what the fuck is happening right now? And so she said, says, what you doing? And I was like, huh? Joining or not for a drink? And I was like, okay. So I go back and we end up, I walk in and I'm like, where the fuck is this going at all? And she ends up pulling out a couple of cans, which like I don't really like drinking at home at all. So then she ends up giving me a can, and we have a can or two each at that point. And for me, I'm just like now I'm turned off because now what you've indicated to me is that you can only kiss a person when you're drunk, and that just like I don't like. I'm not trying to be all hoity-toity. That just weirds me out. I feel like in Ireland men and women don't have a very healthy view of sex. Whereas in America, I could easily go up to a woman and say something and proposition them in a bar and say, "Do you want to go home and have sex?" if they were sober, and that wouldn't be weird. Or proposition someone online and say, "Hey, do you want to have sex?" and it's purely no strings attached or something. Meaning in America, I feel like you can engage in sex, no strings attached, and it's not really weird. In Ireland, everyone has to be drunk to even kiss someone. And I think it's because Irish people tend to have horrible insecurity that makes them not feel dirty, that makes them not feel desirable or something, and they all need to get pissed drunk in order to feel desirable.
Just
And
say
so I don't fuck with that. It's just weird.
you can do that in the UK with no strings attached, no problems. I don't know if it's just Ireland or.
Can you do that all over the UK?
I mean, I don't tend to go on like a UK wide tour, um, having
Urchin's
casual
about to
sex
book
with
his
all these
flight.
guys from different
Urchin's about to book his flight.
places. But from my personal experience, um, I have ashamedly done Essex, but we're not going to talk about that. Um, yeah, I don't think I've ever like really had that many issues, to be honest. I feel like lots of the guys in the UK just want no strings attached anyway, so it feels like, oh, well, that was easy, you know?
I think I'm just uncomfortable because in America, specifically in New York, drinking doesn't have to be part of having sex. Like that's the weird thing is that like I don't want to say it's more transactional or something. It's just more I just feel like people are more comfortable or something. Whereas in Ireland, I don't think people are comfortable with the idea of sex. And for that reason, in order just to kiss someone, they have to be fucking locked out of their brains. And that's just a big turnoff for me.
Yeah, I don't think in the UK, like most of the time that like if you engage in sex here, I feel like it is very much sober or like one drink or something. But like you don't I feel like everyone here is just so eager to have it that they're like, I don't really care. I can be drunk, I can be sober, I don't care, whatever gets me gets me going.
Yeah, I mean,
Gets me going.
I think what I'm thinking about is there anyone in here who's been to Dublin and knows Dublin?
I've been to Dublin once.
Have you seen? No, I think it's more so if you get to see it. Look, I hate to say this, and this honestly feels horrible to say this about Irish people, but I genuinely think there's very much like a grapey way that people tend to engage over here physically. And what I mean by that is one of the scariest things I see, and you see this also in Piccadilly, is the number of drunk people walking around who are susceptible to being picked up and are often being picked up. And don't get me wrong, in New York City you have like Atlantic, you know the way in New York City, like there's no question people walk around being drunk, but you would agree that there's not really that culture of people picking you up while you're drunk. There's people who'd be preying on you, but like it's not expected you're walking around drunk and you're gonna bump into other drunk people who'll take you home kind of thing. It's
That
hard to explain if you
happens.
don't know New York and Piccadilly, like the difference between the two.
I know New
I
York. I mean, I would agree with that. I think unless somebody's like preying on you, like I've definitely spent many of my younger years having fun in New York, but I mean, no, I don't feel like people are just out there for that unless they're a creeper. But
When I was in New York the other month, I
Hmm.
didn't really, I don't know, I didn't really have any issues. I feel like it's pretty, I don't know if it's like a city thing or not. This is what I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Atlantic. I'm not sure if you have experience with London and or Dublin and New York. Do you?
I never been to UK, so no.
UK
Oh my God,
or
that's so
Ireland.
Florida.
Don't
fun.
make me drop you.
I think that like South Florida is similar to New York in that way. Greece, if you go out and a guy is pursuing you, it's very much so for a purpose.
Greece is wild.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah.
That just triggered me. So
Yeah.
think of Mexico spring break, how everyone is drunk and everyone is engaging with people who are drunk. That's to me what Ireland and the UK feels like.
That's
To
what
me, it
Greece
just feels
feels
like
like in
Grape
certain
Central.
parts.
Excuse me.
Unless you're in the
Sorry,
tiny
Molly.
villages of Greece, I feel like a lot of the touristy areas are very much so like that, where it's like, and especially if you're American or you're American sounding, you sort of kind of have a target of you are the conquest for the evening, and that if you are drinking, it is sort of like a grapey type.
I mean, Molly, how many first dates have you ever been on?
First dates. Oh,
Yep.
I'm not sure. I have counted. I've kind of lost count.
Okay, but because you live in a bit more of a posh area in the UK, your
Not
answer may be
anymore.
different. Oh, well, I was going to say, if you ask a woman from Essex how many of your first dates were to a coffee shop or for dinner, the answer would be zero.
Yeah, to be fair, so where I live now, where I'm renting a flat with my friend, is in like central London, right? And I've obviously done my fair share of dating in both places. And yeah, I'd say in London it is tend to be like, oh, let's go for drinks. But
But it's
like,
also gets sloshed. Do you know what I mean? Like, part of the negative thing about drinking culture in Ireland and England is we don't go out for drinks for three drinks. In New York, you can. In New York, like, you can go on a date for three drinks.
In
But
Greece, you don't. In Greece, they start pouring you the ouzo, and you're like, here you
yeah,
go.
oh
Let's
God,
just get hammered.
Uzo.
like
Ugh.
Molly, have you ever been on a date where you had no more than where you and the date had no more than three drinks?
Yeah, many.
Oh, kind heart is saying Essex is coffee shop dating. Yeah, but kind heart, are you talking about people who are in like the generation 1990s and around then, or are you talking about specific generations? Because hearing Essex described as coffee shop dating, and
Mm,
kind heart, you know what part of the problem is? This may be my bias from 20 years ago, and maybe everything's changed.
I must say, like, I don't think London is as bad as it used to be with that kind of thing. Like, I've been on so many dates where, like, we've either been sober or, and this is first dates, right? Or like one or two drinks. I think because everyone just wants to get with everyone, it's, we just don't need it. We just don't need drinks because everyone's like, yeah, fine, you know?
So maybe it is a generational thing. Maybe it's just that that's how I saw it when I was growing up. And that, because now that I think about it, like Dublin 20 plus years ago didn't have coffee shops where you can go on dates. Like it really didn't. It had Kylamore Cafe, and that's about it. Whereas like now there are lots of coffee shop dating spots. And so I wonder if it is just a generational thing.
I
And maybe
think
I'm
you
not
need to
being
come
fair about
back and
it.
like retest it.
I mean, there's rumors that I've never left. I do go
This
back.
is true.
I'll say that I'm in that region a decent amount regardless. Because where it is I am, I almost always go home several times a year.
Yeah, well,
So
that's kind of the same with New York. Like I'm kind of from London to New York a fair amount of times anyway. So,
yeah,
um,
exactly. So like that's why it's in my username because I just go back and forth so frequently between the two. But I don't want to do Irish dating again. It was traumatizing. Like it
then
was fucking
don't.
scary.
Don't do Irish, don't do Essex. Do London, Surrey. What other place is
Well,
safe?
I have done London before. I never said that was not good.
What was
I
the
was a big
opinion
fan
of
of it.
that? You were
It
a
was
big
very
fan.
positive. Very
Right.
positive, yeah.
Amazing. So don't pick the Essex
Because I think
accent.
large cities are maybe perhaps similar. Like Dublin overall is still a pretty small city. It's a million people for God's sake.
Um, well, definitely not like up north.
I don't know.
Sorry,
I still have a
Northern.
weak spot for Essex women. I don't know what to
No,
say.
oh, Essex isn't north, babe.
No, no, no. Sorry, you were saying outside of London, though. I do still have a weak spot for
No,
Essex women.
well, you need to
He's
like get
going
that
back. He's
sorted.
booking his
I'm
tickets
not proud of
now.
myself. I'm just saying that, like, there's just something about. I just feel
No,
like culturally I connect with them a lot.
no, you just can't. You need to get that sorted. And then once you've
I
like realized, once
had
you've
my eyes
realized how
open.
wrong that was, how dark of a time that was,
Can
then
someone get some women from Essex in here to like push back on Molly? I'd love to see that.
nah, I
Atla-
honestly,
Atlantic, I do have a question. I
Mm-hmm.
have genuinely thought that New York had a fantastic culture as it pertains to sex and dating. What's your belief?
oh no.
My belief is that, at least for me, and I'm gonna
Can't hear
say
you very good. You're kind of muffled. Oh, and I'm not saying for dating for marriage. Let me exclude that part.
yeah, the hookup culture in New York City is like big. But the issue is that, at least for me, they've always pretended to want a relationship when they didn't. And I don't know why, because I never indicated I wanted a boyfriend.
I think it's a move.
Like that type of stuff. They pretend to want a relationship to get a CX from you.
Hmm.
That's like the common thing over there.
Okay.
Sorry, kind heart. Are you Essex? Are you from Essex?
I am. I live in
Oh, let
London
the
now.
fight begin.
I was, Essex girl, born and bred.
Oh, you don't really have the accent.
I think I do. Very much so.
You you sound like more posh than me.
Oh,
Molly, did you
I
just
don't know
say
if to take
kind heart
that.
women are not posh?
Um,
I'm
I value
all
my
for
statement.
Am I
I'm
taking
all for
that?
British people fighting. So like I'm all
I
for
no.
this.
This
Instigating
is
right
this is
now.
really serious, Irish. We need to change the prompt here. This is very serious.
British on British
I will
pride.
say kind heart. I don't think of you as having a typical Essex accent whatsoever.
What do you want more Brentwood? Um, oh, shut up, darling. What are you saying?
No, no.
Oh, dream come true. I
Irish
feel
shush.
it's so gentle. I don't know what
No,
it is about the Essex accent.
mine's gentle.
Yes. And
Yours,
I
I'm.
don't like the hesitation there.
I mean, I
I have a
wouldn't call a
question.
London accent gentle.
I have a question real quick.
What's that, Atlantic?
Rethink
Shoot
your
first.
words very
So there
carefully.
was this person that joined my live, and I couldn't tell if they were Irish or Scot. I don't know what they
Go ahead and
accent
play the clip. We'll
was.
tell you.
Yeah, and they sounded very like, oh yeah, yeah, like that.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. That
Listen
could
to this.
be that could be a farmer.
Listen.
It's like definitely true, you know.
So you agree?
Northern Irish.
It's like, oh yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. I'm looking for oppositions. What is that?
That sounded Northern Irish from that little clip.
Northern Ireland.
Play it again. Yeah, it sounded Northern Irish.
1 second.
Play it one more time.
1 second. Hold up. I closed the freaking thing.
It's like definitely true, you know.
So you agree with the background?
Oh yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. I'm looking for oppositions only.
I would have said Northern Irish. Kindheart, Molly, thoughts?
I am still raging. I just have no comment.
Yeah, I think Northern Ireland. Yeah, definitely.
I
It's the
so
way they
I mean,
say true.
I had
Yeah.
to do a Northern Irish accent once, for one of like my drama pieces back in the day. And it does kind of sound like the one I was literally forced to do. So potentially.
Accents are tough. Like Ireland is maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours at most to drive from one side to the other. Like it's pretty small. But the variety of accents just in that little area, it's pretty wild. So it can be a little bit hard. But it's the way they said true. Which sounds kind of British, but
I
with a little bit of a
disagree.
twist. Oh no, no. Well, it doesn't sound Irish. So when they say true, there's a proper enunciation that is not something Irish people would do. And
True.
so, like, well, when I say British, I'm not talking about it's got a British origin to it. It's not how an Irish person would say true, but it's
Mm.
also doesn't sound quite British, which is why I would say it's Northern Irish. Northern Irish people have like it's a bridge accent between England and Ireland, so it's just a little bit in between both.
Mm.
Northern
Kind
Irish
heart.
is
Oh,
not a
sorry.
great accent. No, go ahead.
Kind heart. Where, like, what are you like? Central Essex? Are you like outskirts?
I was brought up in South Essex, South East Essex, which will tell you basically the one town that's there.
What was your opinion of Essex?
Well, I was brought up in a village, so I had a very quiet and quite sheltered upbringing. Then, by the time I was a little bit older, and I was around in the ravers days, so I probably saw too much and did too much.
Those were
You
fun
know.
days, though.
Oh, I loved them. I
I
loved them,
know.
but
I shouldn't say
I,
that, but yeah.
I, I, I pretend to my children that I don't know what any of those days were like.
New York
But
City
yes,
rave days, oh my goodness. The 90s were where it was at.
You can have like an equally fun experience in London, just saying.
I love London. I love
It's
London.
great. It's so, and kind heart, wouldn't you agree that the accents are just really incredible?
Yes,
Okay,
Yes.
you're making me really depressed that I'm going to Italy next month and not over to the UK or Ireland or anywhere in that
Well,
area.
where are you going in Italy?
I'm going to Florence and Rome and
Oh,
to
jealous.
Pompeii.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
that'd be
never
great.
been, so I'm excited. So that'll be fun. It's on my bucket list. I'm terminally delightful, so I'm trying to hit all the spots, but now I feel like I've made the wrong decision.
You have. I think you have. I
I'll
mean,
just have to make another trip.
I think
kind
I've been to
heart,
Florence.
would you say that my accent is superior to the Essex accent?
Me?
I never
Yeah.
think of accents as superior, because if you hadn't have said to me that you were based in London, I would have assumed that you were perhaps North Essex.
What? No, that's
That's
a.
so stinging to her. That's
I am
fantastic.
insulted.
Don't
Oh,
be
kind heart, that
insulted.
makes me feel so happy.
Wait, kind heart,
Molly,
did you
you
not
can't
see
say
why
you're
mine is
insulted by.
Surrey?
No, I
Iris is a
didn't.
troublemaker this morning. Oh my goodness. He's trying to
No, I
get like
didn't.
a fight
I
going.
didn't hear so.
Carlotta, we have beef
I
now.
do agree with kind heart. It's not that one is superior. I think it's about whether or not someone is attracted to it or not. So, for example, Irish men are clearly attracted to the accents of Irish women. I don't fucking get it. Like, I don't understand it. So, like, I agree. I don't think it's about using the word superior. I think it's about maybe saying more popular or whether or not it's individually more attractive or appealing.
Attraction is subjective, though. This is where it gets more complicated.
Yeah, but it is subjective at the end of the day. Because, like, I guarantee if you ask large parts of other parts of the world, when they hear any English accent, they hate it. So, like, it is subjective. If you were to just ask people, what is the most attractive accent, the idea that it's going to be a woman from Surrey is going to be unlikely. And so, having an objective analysis to it, I don't think makes all that much sense.
I know.
It is purely subjective.
Can we all agree that the American accent is not what's getting people?
I don't know. I love a woman's accent from Texas or from the South. That's
Okay.
gorgeous
From the
accent in my opinion.
south.
Okay.
Yeah,
And the rest of us are
Memphis,
just like gone.
Tennessee. I think
I
it's
like the
cute. It's a little
Florida
country bumpkin
accent.
sometimes. What
Whoa,
is the
what's the
Florida accent?
yeah,
What's
what's
the
the
Florida
Florida?
accent?
I
Yeah,
don't know.
Molly,
I
there's no one
just,
really from Florida. People
Yeah,
just go to
exactly.
Florida.
I was
I
about to say
just,
I've lived in South Florida for the last 7 years, and it's a mixture of, in South
Yeah.
Florida at least, it's like Cuban. You have people from New York. A lot of New Yorkers are down here, Canadians. There's very few people that are actually natives to Florida.
I just like the ones I heard when I was in Clearwater and like Disney World, but that's, that's what I'm saying.
Clearwater is like the West Coast, so you usually have a lot of Midwesterners there. Orlando is also a mixing, like a melting pot, so you get a little bit of everything there too. So that's why it's hard for me to tell like where. Like
Maybe I'll just say like California to be safe.
Sheila, that's a good point. Like when I hear Atlantic, I'm like, I don't think of an accent. I just think of a New Yorker. But like, fair question. What is your accent, Atlantic?
My accent?
Yeah, like I don't know. Just like living in New York, like you just, it just sounds New York to me. But I guess it is. I don't know. Like, what is it then? What is your accent from?
I guess it's Dominican. Excuse me, Dominican and American.
Why do I think of it as New York, whereas I guess like it may not be New York? Because it's not like, you know what I mean? It's not like New York accent, if you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's like Bronx.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, why does your accent in my head? I just immediately think New York.
Because I'm from New York.
Yeah, maybe.
But I'm also Dominican, so I guess like it's a combination of both.
Yeah, it's probably because I
You
can
have
hear
a
the New
nice
York in
like
your accent.
accent. Yeah, you have a good voice.
No, I don't.
You do. I really like it.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, lots of people like your accent, Atlantic.
I
I
don't think
disagree with you.
I don't think anybody likes their own voice. It's sort of like when you hear yourself on a recording and you're like, "Do I really sound like that?" I think we all have like a little bit of voice, like
No, you don't
Yeah, I can't stand my
understand.
voice.
I have
their own voice. It's sort of like when you hear yourself on a
a
recording.
1 second. There's like a motorcycle going crazy over here.
Oh my
We can
God,
hear
what
it.
is going on?
Hold up a second.
Wow.
I
They're
don't
enjoying
actually know
themselves.
many people who say they love their voice, except for Molly.
It's actually a thing.
Excuse
Yeah.
me.
No,
Excuse
Most
listen.
me.
people
The
don't.
voice that I have is the result of a fucking voice disorder. It's not like my original voice.
And so, what do you not like about it?
Um, it just became very like hoarse and gritty and a bit deeper than what it used to be. And sometimes it cuts out, like it glitches. Like it happened like a few seconds ago when I started talking.
I don't think of your voice as gritty.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say this, Atlantic. Like, there's lots of people who don't like you, but I think there's a lot of people who like your voice.
Way to hold back, Irish.
No, there's like, I
I'm
would
sorry,
say,
but Irish is like on a roll today with these.
He
I'm
woke
just,
up with
I'm
his
just,
sassy pants.
I
there's like
know,
very
like
few people who I would say are
pipe
more disliked
down.
than me, but like Atlantic is competitive for sure.
I don't know. I mean, I always consider it like a compliment if somebody doesn't dislike me because that means that there's like fans sort of. Like I'm sort of kind of loved and hated on both sides because I'm like right down the middle on a lot of things or like I just say what I think and depending on how much sleep I've had and my ADD, it's like all over the place.
No,
And I'm
listen, people.
talking like legit ADHD. I'm not talking about like the people that are like, "Oh, I have it." No, I really
Yeah.
You
have it.
just don't have it. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally have it.
People describe me as like Queen of Ice or some shit like that. And I'm actually not. But yeah, I'm like,
Well, I mean, I think that's just because you keep cool when you're being pressed by people. Is that what do you think they mean by that?
that I'm like mean and cold hearted, like a narcissist, and
Oh.
You're not a
I
narcissist,
have
but you
no
are mean.
feelings type
Yeah,
of shit.
I don't think that at all. I think just like Irish said, I think it's because you stay so calm, especially when there's opposition, and that creates like something very unsettling to people. But I admire that because I'm very similar. Like if somebody's coming for me or something that I'm saying, I just stay completely calm. It takes a lot to get me upset. And I think it makes the other person extremely uncomfortable and therefore they just project how they're feeling. But I think it's a like a positive trait that you have that you're able to stay calm and that just very business.
Yeah, Atlantic, you know I'm not shy about telling my friends when I think they're a sociopath. I've never really gotten that vibe from you whatsoever. I think that you are unapologetic. I think you are assertive, and I think you don't let people rock you very hard in terms of like, making you feel bad about shit you shouldn't feel bad about. And I think all of that together comes across to a lot of people as mean and cold. But I don't actually think you are those things.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know whoever called you nice. I didn't call you nice. I don't know if I'd go that far. Like,
Irish.
I'm not
I'm
nice.
just saying, like, I wouldn't call Atlantic nice.
I think Atlantic
Nice
can
is a
be
different
nice.
thing.
I mean, I don't know. I think that she can be nice. I mean,
Okay, do you all
I've
know
seen her.
Brussels?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Brussels is nice. Do you think
Yeah,
Brussels
Brussels
and
is
Atlantic are
lovely.
similarly nice?
I'm not nice. I can be
She's not nice.
kind. I can be
Okay,
kind, but
Atlantic,
not
I
nice.
do
No
think that
comment.
you're nice and that you're kind. I think it's just you match energy and again that you're assertive. And I think that women who are assertive are sometimes seen as mean or not nice or aggressive. And I think it's like a stereotype that's put onto women if they speak their mind.
Oh, I do want to take what someone just said in the comments because I think that's a very valid criticism. Um, I agree. I actually don't think it's fair to call you mean because Atlanta, like, you know that I have insight in terms of like how you kind of think off app and stuff, and I actually don't see you being mean. You don't you don't unnecessarily think bad of anyone. I don't hear you go after people, and I don't hear you saying bad things about
That's
people
what I
in like
mean.
our off. Yeah, I don't think she's mean. I do take that back.
Yeah, I mean, at least from and like I don't know Atlantic on that level, but like anytime that I've ever seen her debate or talk or like been in like her company, like she's just always been very I don't know. I think she's a lot nicer than I would be in that situation in some circumstances. Again, I can stay pretty calm because like I worked in like the surgical environment where you're not allowed to have feelings and you have to get used to being yelled at or said stuff too. So I just really let stuff roll. But um no, I can't say that I've ever seen Atlantic be
Joey, I don't know if
not
Atlantic's going to
herself.
remember, but Atlantic, do you remember the first question you ever asked Joey?
No.
Yeah, Joey, you have to share with us because I know that she talks to a whole bunch of people. So remembering the first thing she asked you, you'll have to share with us, Joey, and I'll read it out. Katie, I
I
think
just,
you were going to say something.
Let
yeah,
me.
I just wanted to back up the people that say she's nice. If you actually know her, she is a nice person. But if you're some like imbecile that's like
Yeah.
being transphobic, she's gonna
Let
beat
me
the shit out of
Google.
you, and I'm here
Let me
for it. So,
Google what nice means. Hang on.
Oh, thank you, Katie.
I mean, I
oh
think
come
Well,
on,
here's the
Atlantic
Atlantic,
is
thing.
lovely.
Atlantic. Let's not play. You know, I always thought that about you.
Katie, you're delightful too.
No, no, it depends on who you ask. It depends on who you ask. I
I
can
Well,
be a
love your
whole
here's the
dick.
sassy
I'll
thing.
even
side.
say myself. I'm like, I'm a whole dick to
Pleasant
that.
and agreeable.
Mm,
Pleasant and
Well,
agreeable. That's not how I
Who?
think of Atlantic.
okay,
No,
okay. Well,
Atlantic is agreeable if you have some fucking sense. She might not
yes,
agree with you, but if you have some sense, then she's nice to you.
I would agree with that. When I've seen her debate people that are just complete a-holes, let's say, she gives them a lot more grace than some other people, and she hears them out if they will make some sort of sense. So I agree with Katie on that. And Katie, I think that you're absolutely phenomenal, especially when you're spicy. I live for that. Like I love when you're spicy.
Yeah,
Atlantic,
but
I'm not sure if this triggers anything. Joey is quadriplegic, if that helps remind you at all.
oh my God.
And now you
What?
feel bad for
I
not remembering what you
asked
said to a quadriplegic.
Oh
I
dear.
asked them if it worked.
Okay, I feel like you were
You asked
asking what
about
we
his
all want to
dick.
know. Oh, okay, but you know
She's
what?
not nice, people.
Okay,
She
okay.
wanted to ride that chair, that's all.
Okay, Irish, Atlantic, I'm gonna have your back here. All I'm gonna say is for somebody like me who's either sitting in comments or sitting on panel, she was just probably asking what everybody else was wondering because we're curious, not because we're judging, just because we want
I've
to
never
know.
once worried if Joey's dick is functional. Never
Yeah,
once has
yeah.
that crossed my
Because you're
mind.
okay. Well, I mean, well, whatever. You know what? And you know
Who
what?
else on this panel is going to admit that
Irish, you're
that's what you were
lying.
thinking?
Fine.
I mean,
I will put myself out there. I often wonder that, and I have a friend who is, and that's the first thing that I ask.
and
Really?
and, and I'll
They
say,
I
they
never even
said
think of that.
yes. Do you want to try it out?
and, and
I
I
said
would ask
maybe.
them if I was into somebody who's in the wheelchair. I'm gonna want to know if that works too, because I'm very much an active person when it comes to that.
No,
Well,
but
Yeah,
that's if you're into
listen, he
someone, for sure.
said he said that he has a girlfriend.
that's
And
awesome.
then I'm like, how? Because to me, I guess I was ignorant about this. When somebody was like that, my thought is like that the body didn't work. from like the neck
Sometimes those
down.
things can work, yes. Like Atlantic,
Yeah.
like from like a medical professional, those things, yes, it can still happen in
Yeah.
reflexes, and in some cases, pleasure
I
can
think
still
it's
be
different
had.
for every
Yeah,
person.
It depends on where the injury is on the spinal cord.
yeah, and one of my exes, she used a CNA for someone who became a quadriplegic like 50 years ago, 40, 50 years ago, and she still gets it.
Like if I
Well,
were
Oh,
right.
she's
So
married.
quadriplegic, I
I
would
didn't know
No,
want
she
she's not
was married.
somebody.
married.
No,
Well, I mean,
Joey's married.
Oh,
I would want somebody to ask me if I were, because then it's like, what if that means that, like, I have a chance? And it's like, okay, like, yeah, I am, but here I have a chance now, and somebody wants to saddle up. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, if I was quadriplegic, I want somebody to know because
Exactly.
I mean, they probably wanna help get it, and I mean,
I love you, Atlantic, in case you can't tell. There you go.
well, thank you. But no, here's the thing. When I'm on this app, there's three types of people that I despise, that I see smaller than an ant when I'm interacting. Here's the thing. When I'm on with them, is disingenuous people, performative people, virtue signaling people, and just fucking what's it called? What's the other one that I despise? Oh, people that try to manipulate me emotionally. It's like, mm-mm.
But don't you think
Like
that most
Atlantic
people,
is constantly for 2.5 years in my DMs. That's literally who you're always complaining about. Are those people? You're
Atlantic,
never in my DMs complaining about transphobes. Never.
don't
It's
you think
always
that most
disingenuous, performative people to drive me nuts.
true, but like, don't you find on this app that, like, like since I've been on here, and again, for people that know me, like I'm open about it, like I'm disabled, I'm retired, I'm terminally delightful. But most people are performative. And it's like they aren't consistent if you go and see them throughout like a lot of spaces. And it's like a lot of people that come onto panels just, they put on that show, they put on that act, and then it's hard to differentiate, is that actually who you are, or is this just the role that you're playing?
No, but here's the thing. Like, this is the thing that I appreciate about the right. They will show you who the fuck they are.
They
Agreed on
will.
that,
It's
yeah.
They will
disgusting,
tell
but like,
you. No, but I prefer that than someone who's like, I love everybody and you can be whatever you want to be. And but it's like that they're just saying that because they want social approval.
yeah, no, I mean, I get what you're
Like
saying. It's
virtue
like,
signaling, I despise that shit.
okay, so it's for the same reason that I'll tell TikTok that I'm terminal, but that I don't go out in my daily life on my day-to-day basis and tell people that, because instantly it's people want to be your quote unquote friend because you're unaliving. And it's like I just am like, well, we all are, and it's like, do you really want to get close to me because you know that I'm not going to be here, or do you really want to get close to me because you feel badly, or you want some sort of self, I don't know, fulfillment. I'm not really sure, but yeah, that's why on TikTok it's like, I put it out there, but in real life, no, because people just put on a face of what they think you want them to hear, or they want me to hear.
Yeah, I don't like that. I
Yeah,
don't.
I don't either.
It's like get the
Yeah,
fuck out
I
of my
mean,
face.
it's also because on the left, like we don't create space for people to be wrong or engage in bad behavior, and so that's why we have so many fakers. And like, I wish there was some way we could figure that out to create room for people who are not perfect, so that we're not having so many people lying about what they actually believe. Because
In
like
my
we are
that's
personal,
actually something.
incentivizing.
It's the constant tone policing and what is the other thing? The political correctness. And I get the hell out of my face with that shit. Like, let people say what it is that they think.
That's
the thing
I
that I
agree
like the
with.
most, though, like in my real life, though, is that if they do find out, and I can usually tell if they find out about my health, because automatically they're instantly nicer when, like, you go to school or you pick up your kids and they were, oh, you're this, you're that. And then automatically you can tell when they find out, because they just look at you with those eyes like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. And then I make sure that they know that I'm part of the community. And instantly down in South Florida, that will just completely make them run from you and think that you are like the devil. And I mean, that's usually my comeback now. So do I weaponize that a little bit? A little, but
My my thing is, I agree with Irish. I'm just like, I think it's like, whatever on spring is when I had a certain account. It's I can't get into it anymore. But there's somebody talking about how we on the left like want people to be perfect and stuff like that, and like I think it's really toxic That like any little thing, any tiny thing that somebody doesn't know or they slip up on or whatever, somebody will pounce on it, and it's disgusting. And it stops people from coming into our spaces to a
Yeah.
good degree, because they could be like, yo, I'd agree with them, but if I make this little slip up or whatever, I feel like I'll be ostracized. And that is a problem. That's very much a problem, which is why I
Yeah,
hate the
and
whole call out shit.
it doesn't do what people think that it's doing. Like they're not
Yeah.
accepting you or being more diverse. They're just putting it under the rug, and that's where things fester. So it's like if you're thinking that you doing this, they weaponize cancel culture. That's what the fuck they do. If you think that doing that's gonna make people more like, I don't know what's the word in English for it. What is the word I'm looking for?
I mean,
Respectful? Can you give me an
Inclusive,
idea? Oh, inclusive.
inclusive, like inclusive and accepting by like demonizing, villainizing people because their personal truth is different than yours. It's like, no, sweetie, you're just making them hate you more.
Well, I
I
mean, it
think.
is, but then like you get to the point where like you don't care.
Well,
Like,
sorry.
for
Let me just say
okay,
this, because I do think that once it gets to a point where someone has made it clear that they're not interested in caring about people and they're not interested in lessening their own harm, at that point, flame on. Like, I've got no regard for them whatsoever.
Right.
But this idea of assuming people are hateful or assuming that people are bad people, but this idea of people because of certain things that they've done, I don't subscribe to it, which is why, like, I don't really care what people say at this point on the left, because it's hard to take it seriously. A lot of it's really hard to take it seriously. I think all you can do is like behave the way that you think is right, and you'll be judged based upon your behaviors. Because at this point, to be on the left and say I'm an ally or I'm an advocate doesn't mean shit.
I don't even want allies. I've been saying, fuck the allies. Give me accomplices.
Yeah, but
Remember
even
that background I
accomplice, like, what does that
did?
mean? It's just about behaviors, in my opinion. Like, what are you
Yeah.
consistently showing?
I
Go
agree
ahead.
with that, and that's why like I've gotten crap like recently. I go into Adam and Duchess's live, and like if you like I got tons of like hate mail for that, but like if you go in there, you'll look that they put like L gender criticals. Like I'll still stand up for like what I believe, but I'll have conversations with people that I think that show some potential. And like I'll go into like all sorts of spaces, and I am who I am, love it or hate it, like it just is what it is. But I stay consistent across it because I don't really have anything to lose here, and I'm just
I
like
mean,
I
I think
realize
people
it's
disagree
TikTok.
on who has faith. Like, I've seen them put up backdrops that seem intentionally racially antagonistic. So, like, I would not consider them someone who would be willing to change. And so I
I
think
like
that's
their
where,
token op, and I've gotten them to say that Shanta is like a horrible person, whereas before they used to say like W Shanta, which like
I
irked
mean, I
me.
don't think that's
And
even
like they
necessary.
finally stopped, and like so, and now I'm getting them to realize
But
that
if
like
that's
yeah,
the stand, like, what else have you done? Like, that's not really to me, that's not a big accomplishment. Saying they
well,
don't agree with this one person who
they
spouts
don't
hate.
like gender criticals anymore. They actually respect people's
Yeah, but
pronouns. Now
why?
I've gotten them focusing. I think that they thought that it like actually I'm not even going to speak for them because I really don't know. I disagree with them on 99% of the stuff, but I've at least taught them that they can have a conversation with the person that like doesn't agree with what they think. And I mean, like I'll talk to people that I think that will actually like have a conversation um and do that in hopes that maybe little by little they'll see that everybody's just human and that they're not any better than anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, I
But
think
I
that's
don't go
great if
into like
you.
gender critical spaces anymore unless somebody's being bullied. If anybody's knows, I don't go in those spaces anymore because I feel like they're a lost cause. If somebody's being bullied, I'll go in and because I don't have many feelings and I'll just be like, okay, fine. If you want to bully somebody, come after me.
You know, the
Um,
whole gender critical movement thing on here has kind of like dismantled like significantly.
Mm-hmm.
yep.
Like
What do you mean dismantled?
significantly,
What does that
like
mean, Atlantic?
Like my least favorite person is Martha.
Sorry, Atlantic. What does that mean?
basically what that means is that it's like broken apart. I don't know. Irish, you know my English is not that good.
It's fractured. It's severely
Fractured.
fractured.
It's fracturing.
Yeah, like they're like always fighting each other, and a
Yeah,
lot of
I've
them
seen that.
realize that like people like Martha, Christy, Envy are just transphobes. I have several people from like those spaces come into my live and apologize to me. Even like some of Shanta's mods came into my space. I'm sorry, and they're like now like pro trans.
Get out of here.
Uh-huh.
It's changing. It truly is changing.
Yeah, because they realize that these people are just fucking transphobes. They're not. They're
Who's
not
Martha?
really.
They are. Oh, Martha's debatably
Can I ask you,
my
Margaret?
number one worst op on here at the moment. And one day I talked to
Literally
her
never
because
heard of them.
somebody's. Oh my gosh! Don't even go into her live. Well,
What's
actually,
their
go in there
username?
one time. Her name is Martha. I think it's like Martha never stopped going to her live. Well,
What's
actually,
their
go in there
username?
ops. But I went in there one time, and she was bullying somebody, and I went up there and I was like, so tell me your educational background. And she's like, I don't have any. And I was like, well, that makes sense. So anytime when she has somebody in there that she's bullying, I will go up. Now she won't even accept me on her panel anymore because I'm like, if you want to like bully somebody, come after me. Like, let's have a conversation.
So, Atlantic, let me ask you this question because I guess I'm a little confused. You're suggesting that people who are watching these lives are now are now realizing that they're transphobes. I'm not trying to be a smart arse, but like, isn't that why they were in there? Was to support transphobes? I'm so confused. You make it sound like
Well, here's the thing. I know it sounds like stupid, and I agree with you.
yeah,
I
like I
know
thought everyone
exactly
in
where
there
you
is a
are.
transphobe.
Yeah, I know exactly where you are. I don't disagree. But to them, they were under the guise of like it's for to protect like women and girls
Hmm.
because of the whole, like trans boogeyman that doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, okay, I'm willing to put myself to the side and listen to you as women and say, okay, maybe we shouldn't do this thing. But then they realize down the line, wait a minute, this is not really about that. You just hate trans people. And then that's when they're like, nah, F this shit. And then it kind of like all fell apart.
Yeah, it's how they marketed themselves as caring about people.
Protectors of women.
And I'm going to, exactly.
I guess I
I'm
just
going to
didn't
tell
believe that
you,
there was actually women who bought that shit.
They
That's all I
basically
guess
like
seems
prey
baffling.
on weak people, and slowly their followers are starting to realize that they're just hateful individuals who sit on live all day, don't provide any solution to their quote unquote problems, and that they're losing their own basis and following. And
it's delusional because here's the thing. If we look through our history, men have always abused the fuck out of women. And they've never had to dress up as women or any of that to
Yeah,
do
exactly.
so. Like public spaces, that's not safe.
I honestly think that once they start having trans men using women's restrooms, that like I hope that some of the women who you're saying are doing it to protect women. I hope at that point they'll start realizing, oh, this is actually not what I signed up for. Because once you have trans men using women's restrooms, like at the end of the day, how on earth can you tell if it's a trans man or not? Like trans men are so passable.
Yeah, that's why they rarely mention them, because whenever you bring
Yeah.
trans men and put trans women, it always breaks the narrative every single time. It's
Yeah,
such
because
a
you
easy
can't
thing.
force trans women out of the bathroom without forcing trans men back into the women's bathroom.
I love going into like women's bathrooms down here in South Florida and seeing like the trans sticker that says that I just violated your space. Like, it's one of my favorite things of all time.
I mean, I don't ever opine on that shit because like it's up to trans people if they think that's helpful or not. But like,
Well, I mean, it's showing that a trans man was there and you couldn't tell, that, I mean, I'm sorry, like a trans woman was there.
yeah,
and
I
same
know
like
that
with
can also
trans men.
trigger transphobes to like want to hurt people because they feel emasculated. So like, I don't ever opine on whether or not that's good or bad advocacy because ultimately it's just not my place. So I don't really cheer it on or not.
I understand what you're saying, but I think the fact that here in Florida, where there's been restroom bans for a while, which I think is ridiculous, people have been going to the bathroom since the beginning of time. Like, nobody's going to stop going to the bathroom. All I'm concerned about is go wash your hands. And it's like, that's 99.9% of the population, even down here in the bigoted state of Florida.
Listen, I'm just gonna give it to you guys straight. Some of these people are just like anti-dick women. They just hate anything related to like quote unquote male. Or it's just like insecure people. That's it.
I think a lot of it's homophobia. A lot of men who are disgusted that they find trans women attractive. I do think that's a large part of it as well.
Yeah, because to them, they think that like trans women, they don't really understand what it means to be trans. But to them, trans means like a gay guy that wants to be a girl. Trans means like a gay guy that wants to be a girl.
Yeah,
To them,
100%.
It's like a biology
literally
level of an eighth
homophobia.
grader.
It's homophobia. Even the people that like mess with us, like behind closed doors, it's internalized homophobia. That's what the fuck it is.
I mean, it's 100% that because, like, again, like I've never really understood the idea of genital preference as being the sexual preference in the sense that, like, it's fine if you prefer certain genitals, that's fine. But the idea of saying that you're gay if you're attracted to a trans woman, like, I'm sorry. If you have a man who identifies as straight and sees a trans woman and says, I'm attracted to that person, there's at least an argument that they're not gay, right? But if you have a man who looks at what the fuck's that asshole's name? The trans man who did porn and now he's a
Buck
fucking
Angel.
Buck
Buck
Angel.
Angel. If you have a man who looks at Buck Angel, who is a female, and that man says, I want to have sex with Buck Angel, that's definitely a gay man. There's no question that's a gay man. No straight man.
100%. The
Say it
thing is
again?
that they don't know how sexual orientation works. Like, it is mainly based off your secondary sex
It's
characteristics and in your
100%. Yeah.
behavior. Yeah.
Like,
It's
you
not.
cannot be a straight man and say you want to have sex with Buck Angel. It makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't want to admit it to themselves, and I don't know if that's like society or like what it is, but like they don't. I mean, because again, like my least favorite line is, oh, we can always tell. It's like bullshit. Like, I'm sorry, didn't mean to cuss. Like, BS, you cannot tell. Like, you cannot tell every time. Like it's just
When
not
they say
there.
when a man says we can always tell, what they're really saying is, I don't want to get with a trans woman because someone else could tell. Like, they're
Yeah.
more so, in my opinion, showing that they're scared of being outed of being with a trans woman than anything else.
I think
Yeah,
that's
the
the
thing is
majority of it
like
is like
that
their
whole
social
premise
structure.
of like I can always tell, it is so freaking fallacious because you can only apply that to the ones that you can tell,
Exactly.
not the ones that you can't, because if you can't tell, you can't tell. So it's like it
Yeah,
doesn't
like
make any
what's the
sense.
name? I don't know how well versed you are on advocates and stuff, Atlantic, but what's the name of that fucking trans advocate from the 1980s, 1970s, 1980s, brunette, super sweet, never was always incredibly on a ton of talk shows talking about being trans, was very open about it. Blanking on what the hell their name was. They married men that were important, high
Are you talking
status.
about Christine Jorgensen?
I'm
Christine
not sure,
Bjorkis.
Irish,
Yeah.
honestly.
There's more.
I'm
Christine
not
Bjorkis.
sure, Irish, honestly.
There's
The one
multiple.
from
There's Christine
Spain?
Jorgensen, there's Sylvia Rivera, but I don't think I'm pretty sure you're not talking about her.
The one from Spain?
No, I think she's
Definitely
from
not
the
Christine
Bronx.
Bjorkis. Hang on.
I think it's the one from Spain.
Oh, that he's talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
She was like in movies and stuff like that too.
Maybe, I don't know. I know one was a Bond girl.
I have no
Talking about
idea.
not RuPaul. My God. And no, not Spanish. She comes across as American, very elegant and very passable.
Was she a
Brunette, big hair,
was she a
was
was she a
married to
Bond girl?
someone very important. No, white woman. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Hang on.
I probably know the name, I just don't remember.
Yeah, same. We're gonna feel so stupid, Atlantic, when you said it.
Oh, I do remember she was a supermodel, if that helps.
Carmen
Was she?
Carrera? No.
Was she? Oh fuck!
He's
I'm gonna.
talking about the I think he's talking about the Spaniard one, but she's like in America. That she did a lot of vintage things, like shows and stuff like that. as well.
There we go. Carolyn Cossi. That's who I'm talking about. Have you ever heard of her?
No.
I have.
You've never heard of Carolyn Cossi?
Mm-mm.
Oh, Atlantic, I'm going to send you her name right now. You should look her up. Her TV talk shows, I remember them. Even when I was a young kid, I remember them from the 1980s. She would be on like Donahue, Oprah, and she would be talking about the fact that she was a supermodel that most people didn't know were trans. And when she was on these shows, like no one, like she was just totally passable. And there was like a whole bunch of talk shows about how triggered men were by falling for her. This was like I can't think of another trans woman from 1980s who was more of
Was
a
she on
focus.
Baywatch?
No, she was never on a TV show. Let
Oh,
me send you her name.
yeah, I looked her up. I've never heard of her.
Irish. Irish. She was in a James Bond movie, For Your Eyes Only.
Yes, she was in a James Bond movie. Yes, 100%.
Yeah, she
You're
was in
right.
the Bond
Sorry,
movie.
that was the only movie she was ever in.
Yeah.
Carolyn, hang on, let me put it up.
Carolyn Cossey, Cosscy.
She was in a James Bond movie. You're entirely correct. But I think that's the only movie I can think of. She was a socialite.
And she married this guy named David Finch, and they live in Atlanta.
Yeah, she's always been someone. Her working name was Tula, is what someone's telling me.
Yeah, Tula. If you had said that, I would have been like, oh, yeah, I know who Tula is. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know her as Tula. I know her as Carolyn Cossi. Oh, May said she's talked with her?
Yeah, May has a great fucking life. I'm jealous of May.
Yet when May says that Carolyn is an absolute sweetheart, you will never find someone who seems to be sweeter than Carolyn Cossi. Like, she just seems, when people are aggressive towards her, assertive against her, she's just so goddamn meeting anger and hostility with a smile and goddamn meeting and kindness every goddamn time. It's really crazy, actually.
She was also the first trans woman that was on Playboy.
Yeah, that tracks. She was no. Well, what I mean by that is what she was hated for was that straight men didn't realize she was trans, and she was a sex icon, like a real sex icon in the 1980s. Like as you said, on a James Bond movie, and so men were kind of shocked when they learned that they had been lusting over this person.
And yet we still have people today saying, oh, it's just in the last 10 years that it happens. That drives me absolutely insane. I'm like, be for real. Like, that is not the case. Like,
Yeah, there's a good chance that your dad or granddad had a little spank bank because of her. So
Yeah, May, you're
she is
correct. She
hot. I
did.
definitely, would definitely go for her.
Yeah, May, and now that you said about her bottom surgery, I remember like she was, when I think about influences in terms of who influenced like how I think the way I think, she was someone who I remember watching as a kid being like, what is going on here? And I remember hearing in one of her interviews, there was this very specific interview where they were talking about her having a penis or not having a penis. And I remember that's where I was introduced to the idea of passing privilege, because she went on to say that whether she has a penis or not didn't make her any more or less a woman. And then she went on in some depth about the fact that she has the privilege to be able to have that surgery, and she's the privilege to be able to pass, but the people who are not like her are in no way any less of a woman. And I always credit her with kind of like teaching me that from a very, very young age.
she also took her case to, I guess, the European Supreme Court or something like that, and that's how she got recognized as a woman in Italy.
Yeah, Shaz, that could be right. When you say she was an extra in a movie and they were upset because she didn't reveal it, that is why she was somewhat notable. Is that she was in a lot of like stuff. And she was put in the forefront of media at the time, and men were lusting over her without knowing she was trans, which is why like she was very notable at the time. Like there was a lot of anger and hostility towards her, but when she went on these shows, you just couldn't hate her. She was like the epitome of the perfect spokesperson.
Okay, well, then here's the $1,000,000 question. How do we convince these men that are lusting over somebody as beautiful as she is that they are not, GAY, that they are just attracted to a woman? Like, that's the $1,000,000 question.
I say it's good if they outwardly say they aren't. That way we can just avoid them. Either that or make them like have to register as transphobes. So that way we, still don't have to worry about them.
I mean, the only thing I do in that regard is I just destigmatize the idea of being gay. Whenever someone accuses me of being gay as an insult, like I just don't react. Like I just destigmatize being gay will make undercover gay people feel a lot less ashamed about it, in my opinion. That's one way.
I mean, I'm totally queer, so it's like I don't really have a leg to stand on. I mean, I've been called greedy because I'm pan and, all this other stuff. But it's like, it's like I really don't understand it because I'm like, you're just attracted to whoever you're attracted to. But like the fact that if you have like a straight man, it seems to be men. I don't mean to attack anybody in the comments or anything like that. That's not my point. But it seems like men in specific are like very bothered by the fact that they're attracted to a trans woman, not realizing that it's just a woman. Like it just blows my mind.
When we talk about homophobia, like it is disproportionately going to be experienced by men because of the emasculation that is assumed to be attached to it.
Toxic masculinity, that's the reason.
Yeah, because like if anything, I laugh at women for being straight. Because like what a joke! Look at who you all choose. Like so, like I do feel as though homophobia is disproportionately a toxic masculinity issue. I've never heard another woman personally. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but in terms of it being broad from a social standpoint, I've never heard another woman, or no, I guess I've seen it on TV once or twice, but women attacking women for being attracted to women.
Yeah, I don't see that often either. It's
Yeah.
Yeah, I
always
can think of some
usually,
movies, but it's a cheerleader. But I'm a cheerleader. I remember there being some sort of joke about that.
I've
Yeah.
experienced it, but it's been on much more so like a much milder level. Like when I've been with women and, have also had male partners. I have, but it's nothing like what happens in the reverse situation. It's nothing comparable.
yeah, it's definitely a guy thing, mainly. As
Yeah.
toxic masculinity, the whole like misogynistic
It's sort of
stance.
it's sort of the same thing that like sexual assault happens to men or women, but it's gendered in the sense that women suffer disproportionately and in certain unique ways. And I think it's similar with homophobia. It obviously affects men and women, but I think disproportionately affects men.
Yeah, I would agree to that actually.
Candace, what an amazing movie that was.
Did
That
anyone
should be
see the
like
stage show? That was even better.
which one?
There was a stage show about, well, I know there was definitely in London, like a stage adaptation to But I'm a Cheerleader, and it was insane. It was so good.
I mean, I don't know how you top that movie. I do
Well,
feel as though there should be like required watching for certain movies as you grow up.
I agree.
That would definitely be top of my list.
Hey,
What's up,
Brussels.
Besties?
Good morning, besties.
Hey, my cat says hi to your dog.
Goose, are you hungry?
Oh, so
Did I
cute.
did I just hear a legend enter here? Hey,
No, I'm the
Brussels.
host. I've been here the entire time, Katie.
I said legend, not Irish. I'm sorry.
Oh.
I'm just simping over Brussels. Please don't drop me.
Irish just got dissed.
To be fair, Irish does deserve it after today's live because
Irish was sort of dissing Molly secondarily, even.
Sort of dissing me.
Yeah,
Oh
I mean,
my
okay,
god.
okay. Irish was dissing Molly, and
Massively.
yes, and
I don't remember any dissing.
he
I
was
was just
canceled
there.
briefly, and we're gonna have to leave it to the discretion of Molly to decide if
Still cancelled.
This is my third cancellation today. Like, this is not
It
new.
was what really did it for me. There was many things. I think the one that hurt the most, that really affected me, was that I kind of sounded like I was from like North Essex. And
I
then
didn't
Irish
say
was like
that.
backing it up. I was like, absolutely not.
Okay. I'm sorry, Irish, because I love you, but you did say that. You
Yeah.
did. You
No,
said she sort of
Kindheart
sounds like
said
she's
it.
from. Yeah, she did, but it's
I was
okay.
laughing at the fact that you are telling a woman that her accent is bad and you don't want to be associated with it. I was laughing at the British attacking each other and just enjoying that part of it.
Because it was an Essex accent.
Wait, does anyone else have their thank you, kind heart?
Yeah, but
Does
Irish,
anyone
it
else
was the support you showed.
wait?
The
Does anyone
comment.
else have the prompt written so that it perfectly says, if you have suggestions on how to amend the prompt, just DM me, Tank Molly. Does anyone else see it literally read it exactly like that, or am I wrong? That may just be my iPhone.
It's because of the other boxes that it's covered up from the chat.
But does it read Tank Molly exactly? Because that's what it looks like on my phone.
It kind of does.
Oh, it looks like it's, let me take a screenshot. I'll share it in the server.
Please don't change the layout because I may just cry. I can't. I'm not a snob. I just have standards. I love all the accents in the UK, but the Essex one is just... And then Irish saying that was the most attractive. I just couldn't believe my ears.
Just to clarify, Molly, did you not send me a study that said that the Essex accent is the most attractive accent in all of the UK?
It was one study. There's going to be many
for that. You have the right to remain silent.
Yeah. Where's my lawyer? It was one study, and it was like from the Mirror, which is like the most unreputable source ever.
The Mirror honestly sounds like it would be biased. I'm not going to lie about that.
Exactly.
All right. I have to restart. I will go live probably in like a half hour or so, but I do need to deal with something in about 3 minutes, and I will try to go live later on. But I appreciate everyone joining. If you've not looked up the name, take a screenshot right now.
Can you say
and
3 again just one more time, because that's my weakness?
Look at the sticker where it says Carolyn Kasi and look her up. Look up 1980s interview or Donahue, Oprah, any of those things, and go watch her interviews. They're fucking amazing. All right,
Irish,
Coach
please
away.
say 3 one more time.